20 forgotten drive-in dinners from the 1960s you'll never find again. Remember when drive-ins meant more than just fast food pickup? Back in the 1960s, every drive-in served hearty dinners on real plates brought right to your car window, until chain restaurants and changing dining habits made them disappear. Let's take a trip back and explore 20 forgotten drive-in dinners from the 1960s you'll never find again. The car hop classics. Picture this. It's 1963, and you're pulling into Mel's Drive-In with the whole family crammed into your Chevy Impala. A car hop in roller skates glides up to your window with a metal tray carrying real dinners on actual china plates. Not paper containers, not plastic wrapping, but honest-to-goodness restaurant meals served right to your car door. 1. The famous drive-in steak dinner was the crown jewel that proved drive-ins weren't just about burgers and shakes. A genuine sirloin steak, grilled to order, arrived with crispy French fries and creamy coleslaw on a proper dinner plate with metal silverware. The steak was usually thin but surprisingly tender, cooked on flat-top grills that gave it those perfect char marks. Families would roll down all their windows, clip the tray to the driver's side, and eat like they were dining in a real restaurant. Except they never had to leave their car. 2. Fried Chicken Basket brought Sunday dinner to the parking lot with 3 pieces of golden fried chicken, fluffy mashed potatoes with real butter, and honey drizzle biscuits that were still warm from the oven. The chicken was crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside, and came with those little packets of honey that kids would fight over. The mashed potatoes were real, not instant, and the gravy was made fresh throughout the day. 3. The deluxe hamburger steak completed this trio of car hop classics with a thick ground beef patty smothered in grilled onions and brown gravy, served alongside buttery mashed potatoes and green beans. It was comfort food at its finest, hearty, satisfying, and substantial enough to make you forget you were eating in a parking lot. These 3 dinners represented drive-in dining at its peak, when car hops took pride in delivering restaurant-quality meals that made every family feel special. The seafood specials. Drive-ins weren't just about landlocked comfort food. The smart ones knew that seafood could draw crowds, especially on Friday nights when Catholic families needed fish options and everyone else wanted something that felt a little more sophisticated than the usual burger fare. 4. Friday night fish and chips became the weekly tradition that brought British pub flavors to American parking lots. Thick pieces of cod or halibut, battered and fried until golden, arrive alongside a mountain of crispy French fries with little packets of malt vinegar and tartar sauce. The fish was always fresh. Drive-ins took pride in their seafood suppliers and made sure the batter was light and crispy, never greasy or heavy. Car hops would carefully balance the overflowing baskets on their trays, making sure the vinegar packets didn't slide off as they navigated between parked cars. Families would spread napkins across their laps and dig in, the vinegar's tangy bite cutting through the rich fried coating while the fries provided that perfect salty crunch. 5. Shrimp in a basket made coastal dining accessible to families hundreds of miles from the nearest ocean. Plump breaded shrimp, fried golden and served with cocktail sauce and a generous portion of French fries, transformed humble drive-in parking lots into seaside dining experiences. The shrimp were usually medium-sized and heavily breaded, not the delicate tempura-style coating you'd find at expensive restaurants, but a substantial, crunchy coating that held up to the frying process and stayed crispy during the trip from kitchen to car window. The cocktail sauce was tangy and horseradish sharp, providing that classic steakhouse flavor that made even landlocked diners feel sophisticated. These seafood specials proved that drive-ins could deliver restaurant-quality fish and shellfish, bringing oceanic flavors to families who might otherwise never experience fresh seafood dining. The international adventures. The 1960s were when drive-ins got adventurous, bringing exotic international flavors to suburban parking lots. These meals introduced American families to cuisines they'd never heard of, even if the authenticity was filtered through very American sensibilities and served on the same china plates as everything else. 6. Chili size was the gateway drug to Southwestern cuisine for families who'd never ventured beyond meat and potatoes. A hamburger patty smothered in thick, meaty chili and topped with shredded cheese and diced onions. This dish brought the flavors of the Southwest to drive-ins across the country. The chili was usually mild enough for sensitive palates, but packed with enough cumin and chili powder to feel authentically spicy. Car hops would carefully balance these messy plates, warning customers to grab extra napkins because eating chili size in a car was always an adventure. The combination of beef, beans, and cheese felt exotic and exciting to families whose idea of international cuisine was spaghetti and meatballs. 7. Tacos and enchilada combo plate was most families' first taste of Mexican food, served with rice, beans, and that mysterious red sauce that seemed both familiar and foreign. The tacos were crispy corn shells filled with seasoned ground beef, lettuce, and cheese. Nothing like the soft tacos that would become popular decades later. The enchiladas were usually cheese-filled and covered in a mild red sauce that was more tomato-based than authentically Mexican, but it felt incredibly sophisticated to suburban diners. 8. Italian spaghetti and meatball dinner brought the romance of Italy to your car window, complete with garlic bread wrapped in foil to keep it warm. The spaghetti was served in deep bowls with generous portions of meat sauce and 3 large meatballs that were clearly made in-house. The garlic bread was buttery, garlicky, and left your car smelling like an Italian restaurant for days. These international adventures opened minds and expanded palates, one drive-in dinner at a time. The comfort food champions. Some drive-in dinners were all about bringing the warmth and satisfaction of home cooking to the highway, proving that you could get a meal just like mom made without ever leaving your car seat. 9. Meatloaf dinner was the ultimate comfort food that made drive-ins feel like an extension of your own dining room. A thick slice of house-made meatloaf, glazed with ketchup and served alongside creamy mashed potatoes and green beans, arrived on real plates that made the meal feel substantial and homey. The meatloaf was usually made fresh daily in large pans, seasoned with the same onion soup mix that mothers used at home, creating that familiar taste that made families feel like they were eating Sunday dinner in the parking lot. The mashed potatoes were real, fluffy, buttery, and made from actual potatoes, while the green beans were seasoned with bacon bits that added just the right amount of smoky flavor. 10. Pot roast plate brought slow-cooked perfection to the fast-paced world of drive-in dining. Tender chunks of beef that had been simmering all day with carrots and potatoes, served with rich brown gravy that tied everything together. The meat would fall apart at the touch of a fork, and the vegetables had absorbed all those savory flavors from hours of slow cooking. Car hops would warn customers that the plates were hot, because these dinners came straight from the kitchen where they'd been keeping warm in covered pans. 11. Liver and onions with bacon was surprisingly popular before health consciousness made organ meats taboo. Thin slices of calf's liver, pan-fried with sweet onions and crispy bacon strips, served with mashed potatoes that helped mellow the liver's distinctive flavor. It was an acquired taste that many adults had grown up with, making it a nostalgic choice for parents introducing their children to grown-up food. These comfort food champions proved that drive-ins could deliver the same emotional satisfaction as home cooking, one hearty plate at a time. The breakfast all day. Long before 24-hour breakfast became a fast food marketing gimmick, drive-ins understood that some folks wanted eggs and bacon at dinner time, and they were more than happy to serve hearty breakfast fare around the clock. 12. The big breakfast platter was exactly what it promised. A massive oval plate loaded with 2 eggs cooked to order, crispy bacon strips, breakfast sausage links, golden hash browns, and a short stack of pancakes with butter and syrup. Available 24 hours a day, this platter became the go-to choice for night shift workers, teenagers after school dances, and families who just couldn't decide between breakfast and dinner. The eggs were always cooked perfectly, whether you wanted them over easy with runny yolks or scrambled fluffy and light. The bacon was thick-cut and crispy. The sausages were plump and well-seasoned, and the hash browns were shredded and grilled until golden brown with crispy edges. 13. Chicken and waffles dinner mixed Southern comfort with drive-in convenience in ways that shouldn't have worked, but absolutely did. A golden Belgian waffle topped with 2 pieces of fried chicken, served with maple syrup and honey butter, created this perfect combination of sweet and savory that made every bite interesting. The chicken was always crispy and hot, seasoned with just enough spice to complement the sweet waffle. while the syrup tied everything together in sticky, delicious harmony. 14. Ham steak and eggs elevated breakfast to dinner status with a thick slice of glazed ham steak, 2 eggs prepared any style, and a generous portion of seasoned hash browns. The ham was usually spiral cut and glazed with brown sugar, creating these beautiful caramelized edges that made the whole plate look restaurant fancy. The hash browns were crispy on the outside and fluffy inside, seasoned with just enough salt and pepper to complement the sweet ham. These all-day breakfast options prove that comfort food knows no time limits, satisfying cravings whenever they struck. The regional specialties. Drive-ins across America developed their own local flavors, creating signature dishes that reflected the regional tastes and traditions of their communities. These specialties made each drive-in feel unique, even when they were serving from the same basic menu template. 15. Barbecue pork sandwich dinner varied dramatically depending on which part of the country you were visiting. In Kansas City, it came with thick molasses sweet sauce and a side of baked beans loaded with burnt ends. Down in Carolina, the pork was chopped fine and dressed with tangy vinegar-based sauce that cut through the richness, served alongside coleslaw and pickles. Texas drive-ins served it dry rubbed with sauce on the side, letting the smoky meat speak for itself. The sandwich was always served on a toasted bun that could handle the juices, and the dinner plate included regional sides that made each version feel authentically local. 16. Country fried steak with white gravy brought Southern cooking to drive-ins nationwide, though the execution varied by region. A thin beef cutlet, pounded tender and coated in seasoned flour, then fried golden and smothered in thick white gravy made with pan drippings and milk. The steak was crispy on the outside, tender inside, and the gravy was rich and peppery enough to make you forget you were eating in a parking lot. Served with mashed potatoes and green beans, it was comfort food that traveled well beyond the Mason-Dixon line. 17. Hot beef sandwich defined Midwest comfort food with thick slices of roast beef piled on white bread and smothered in brown gravy. Serve alongside mashed potatoes and often a scoop of corn. The beef was usually slow-roasted in-house and sliced to order, creating these hearty, no-nonsense meals that satisfied farmers and factory workers who needed serious fuel for serious work. These regional specialties proved that drive-ins weren't just copying each other. They were celebrating the unique flavors of their own communities. The kid favorites. Some drive-in dinners were specifically designed to make children happy, turning the back seat into a dining room where kids could eat their favorite foods without worrying about restaurant manners or keeping their voices down. 18. Mini corn dogs with French fries were pure childhood magic that made kids beg their parents to eat in the car instead of going to a regular restaurant. These weren't the frozen corn dogs you'd find at the grocery store. They were made fresh daily, with hot dogs cut into bite-sized pieces, dipped in sweet cornbread batter, and fried until golden brown. The miniature size made them perfect for small hands, and kids could eat them like popcorn while parents didn't have to worry about choking hazards. The French fries were always fresh cut and crispy, seasoned with just enough salt to make them irresistible. Car hops would bring extra napkins and small cups of ketchup and mustard, knowing that kids would inevitably make a mess, but having too much fun to care. 19. Grilled cheese and tomato soup combo transformed childhood favorites into a legitimate drive-in dinner that made kids feel grown-up while eating foods they actually loved. The grilled cheese was made with thick slices of white bread and real American cheese, grilled in butter until the outside was golden brown and the cheese was perfectly melted. The tomato soup was creamy and slightly sweet, served in a proper bowl with a real spoon, making it feel more special than the canned version they got home. Kids would dip their sandwich triangles into the soup, creating these perfect bites that combined crispy, creamy, and comforting flavors. These kid-friendly options proved that drive-ins understood their youngest customers, creating meals that made children feel special while giving parents a peaceful dining experience in the comfort of their own car. The special occasion splurges. Not every drive-in dinner was about everyday comfort food. Some establishments offered truly luxurious options that proved carside dining could compete with the fanciest restaurants in town, creating unforgettable experiences that made anniversaries and celebrations feel extra special. 20. The surf and turf platter was the ultimate drive-in splurge that combined the best of land and sea in one impressive presentation. A tender filet mignon, grilled to your exact specifications, paired with a succulent lobster tail that had been split, buttered, and broiled until the meat was sweet and flaky. The steak was usually a genuine filet, not the thin sirloin from the regular dinner menu, seasoned simply with salt and pepper to let the quality beef shine through. The lobster tail came with drawn butter in a small ceramic ramekin and a tiny fork specifically for extracting every morsel of meat. Served alongside garlic mashed potatoes and fresh asparagus spears. This dinner transformed humble drive-in parking lots into fine dining establishments that rivaled the best steakhouses in the city. These 20 forgotten drive-in dinners represented more than just convenient eating. They captured a unique moment in American culture when dining out meant genuine service, real plates, and the simple pleasure of a complete meal delivered to your car window. Sure, the steak might not have been prime cut, and the International Food bore little resemblance to authentic cuisine, but they delivered something precious. The feeling that you were special enough to be served a real dinner wherever you happen to park. By the 1970s, fast food chains and changing lifestyles would make these elaborate car hop services obsolete, but their legacy lives on in every family that remembers when eating out was an experience, not just fuel. They taught us that hospitality isn't about fancy surroundings. It's about caring enough to bring quality food to wherever people are.